Hi everybody, Kirsty, Goddess of Neptune. I hope you're doing really well. So Monday, 4th of September 2023, Venus turned direct early hours of this morning. Certainly for those of us in the UK, it was 2:21 this morning, 4th of September. Apply your own time zones as appropriate. We've been in that Venus retrograde, trying to understand where we've been investing our heart happiness, if you like, our resources connected to the heart space. So when you think of love, joy, abundance, money, time, energy, where have we been investing those resources? In things that we love to do, in things that fill our cup up, or in things that maybe don't, that we need to detach from? The retrograde, as all retrogrades, perfect time for us to really experience that and understand what's at the root of it all, so we can make the necessary changes. And of course, Venus is now direct, so we can take the appropriate action. Bearing in mind, of course, we've got other planets currently in retrograde, one of which is what I want to talk to you about today, Jupiter. So we had Venus stationing direct early hours of this morning, again, for those of us in the UK, and then 13 hours later, so 15:11 for those of us in the UK, Jupiter went retrograde. So that's that gas giant, that planet of expansion, hope as well, but there's expansive energy to Jupiter. And Jupiter went retrograde. So we're now in a Jupiter retrograde, to add to the other ones, up until the end of December. And with Jupiter, because Jupiter is a planet of expansion, and this is a retrograde, which is about introspection, this is about inner growth and expansion. It's all part of the healing journey. So we've got other planets currently retrograde, Saturn, what lessons are we trying to learn? Pluto, where do we need to deeply transform? Uranus, where is change needed? Okay, as well as Chiron, which isn't a planet, but Chiron is retrograde. So that's our healing journey. This is all part of that introspection as part of our healing journey. So, you know, and that's just to name a few. But they're the big hitters, certainly with what's going on at the moment. We've got Neptune, of course, in retrograde as well, where we need to be aware of any kind of deception, whether that is self-deception or deception from other things around us. But it's all part of this learning that we're taking on board during the retrograde season. So Jupiter retrograde, I'm going to share the chart and just bring to your attention a few things that I noticed that I was drawn to with regards to the chart and looking at the UK like I usually do to give some context. And then I've got some decks here just to provide some cards, just to give some additional guidance. And I've chosen Gilded Tarot Royale for the sovereignty and Wisdom of the Oracle. One of the things I noticed as I was setting the deck and getting it ready, which I just mentioned before we start, is on the bottom, which I always refer to as the hidden energy, we have the Emperor here. And on the top, we have the Empress. So there is that divine counterpart energy going on at the moment. And certainly with regards to Venus, and I know I did a tarot reading that's available on my channel if it resonates for you, regarding Venus retrograde. Of course, it's based on the current energy of that time. We know energy is fluid. Okay, it's not going to resonate for everybody, but that certainly was relating to a soulmate connection. And all of this that we're being asked to do to go within and introspect is, of course, part of our healing journey. And it all starts with us anyway. But there's certainly that energy at the moment of us connecting with others. And, you know, certainly those that we share the same frequency with. As part of this transformation, we're evolving and we're understanding where connections are no longer in alignment. And that's freeing up space for new connections that are in alignment. I won't harbour on that fact for too long. What I'll do is I will just share the chart to show you the Junus. That is supposed to be Jupiter and Venus, probably, but the Jupiter retrograde, not the Junus retrograde. It is Mercury retrograde. So, you know, that can affect communication. I am clearly demonstrating that right now. So let's pull up the chart. Okay, so what we have here, that's the one I need first. Yes, so this shows you the chart as an event. Jupiter retrograde starts 15:11, 4th of September. For those of us in the UK, that's the time, but apply your own time zones as appropriate. Now, you can see here, we've got the sun in Virgo, and we've got the moon over here in Taurus. Okay, and I did mention that as part of the Venus station in direct, because of course that happened hours before. So, you know, the moon is still going to be there in Taurus. And that's certainly, you know, the earth energy there. There is a trine Okay, there's a trine going on. We've got Mercury in the mix also. But really, you know, in terms of our soul essence and that desire to clean things up, to get things in order, Virgo energy, is making that harmonious trine to the moon in Taurus. So with regards to our worth and values. So we're understanding perhaps from that Venus retrograde and our healing journey in general, what it is that needs to change. Where are we investing things that need to change because maybe our worth is different, or we've realized our worth and we need to make a change because, okay, I'm worth more than that because that makes me happy. I want to invest more of my resources, whether it's time, energy, money, love, etc., in that area, in that person. So I know I need to make that change. So our emotions are working hand in hand harmoniously with this trine, with our soul essence, because our soul is guiding us through our intuition and in terms of what we need to clean up, what we need to get in order, Virgo energy, understanding what our worth and values are, and motivating us in that way to make those changes. So that's why that trine is there, which is beautiful. And then we've also got a trine that's going from the South Node and Ceres, who are in exact conjunction, with Vesta, okay? And then we've also got a trine from Vesta down to Saturn. So Vesta is that sacred flame energy. What sparks that flame within? And that's linked very much to what I've been saying about Venus, because what lights us up, what makes us happy, what sparks that flame within, passion, creativity, whatever it is, whether it's a thing, a person, you know, whatever the situation is, what sparks that sacred flame energy within? And when we can understand that, we're understanding the lessons of Saturn. So that's, of course, making Saturn happy. We're understanding where we're investing. So, of course, Venus, you know, we're making Venus happy because we've introspected through the retrograde and we know what makes us happy. We know what sparks the flame. So it's helping us learn the Saturn lessons, getting us more in alignment with our spiritual truth. And it's helping Venus, you know, as well as part of that overall message. But ultimately, the Saturn lessons are strong. They're heavy. And, you know, that has been a very kind of heightened energy, getting us truly in alignment with our soul's truth. To do that, we need to understand what lights us up. So we've got that trine there to Vesta, but also we've got that trine going across to the South Node and Ceres. So Ceres is expanding the energy when it comes to reciprocity and fairness, because they're both in Libra. And the South Node, you know, at the foundations, anything karmic that's been coming up, this is helping us transmute that. It's allowing for the divine feminine energy of Ceres to nurture the transmutation of the karmic stuff that's coming up to be cleansed. There is this red line, I'm sure you can see, which is actually a square that's going down to Pluto. So yes, that can be challenging as part of the transformation journey. Of course, all this karmic debris that we're having to wade through is intense, but ultimately we're being guided by what lights us up, because then we know what doesn't light us up. And then it's just a case of detaching from that. So the detachment and the transformation as a result of that can be challenging, but of course worthwhile, but it can be intense. But the trine is saying, you know, when we understand what sparks that flame within, we can then rectify what doesn't, and what could be just karmic stuff that we're having to sift through and clear and release. There is also a square from Pluto going across to the North Node. So yes, it could be challenging in terms of our purpose, our guiding path forward, because when we have all this stuff coming up as part of our transformation, often we can question it, you know, especially if it's karmic situations or people that we've been attached to for quite a long time, because, you know, going sort of that new direction forward can be quite challenging to break away from what we've always known to be true. But we're understanding now if that lights us up or not, and that can be difficult to detach from, as I was saying, but it's all part of the transformation journey. We're being called to understand what our true path forward is, what our purpose is through all of this. So it's helping us, it's all for our highest good, but it can feel challenging. And that's why, of course, the square is there. And we know Chiron is right alongside the North Node. So it's very much connected to our healing journey of sovereignty, because Chiron's in Aries, as is the North Node now. So there is, you know, obviously the trine aspects, and there's another trine that I didn't mention, which is from Pluto to Uranus. And of course, transformation, Pluto, change, Uranus, you know, they're both one and the same thing if you look at it like that. We change, we transform. we evolve. So understanding our worth and values in terms of Uranus in Taurus. So where is change needed when it relates to our worth and values? And now Jupiter is retrograde, allowing us that inner expansion to really understand what it is to do with our worth and values. That energy of change is going to be supported by the deep transformation that Pluto is calling for, and vice versa. So that's how that energy can work harmoniously together. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pull up the other chart to show you the UK's natal chart against the transits. And this is what I do to provide context, because we can look at the house system. So inner wheel is the UK's natal chart. Outer wheel is Jupiter retrograde. The moment Jupiter went into retrograde, 1511 for the UK. Apply your own time zones as appropriate. And this is where you can take your natal chart at the center and the transits of the event that we're talking about right now, or any other. And it's like a freeze frame of the cosmos, and it can give great insight into the energy and how it could be affecting your natal chart, because this is collective energy. Even if I was to do it for each of the zodiac signs to give a collective energy, great, that's going to help us on a collective level. And it could very well resonate because we are part of the collective. But your own unique individual chart, that's where the magic is, because even if we have the same rising as this particular sign, so the houses are in theory the same, I know from looking at many natal charts that the house system is unique. So you might actually have two signs in one house. You could have two houses in one sign. So therefore it is unique. It's our soul's blueprint. I stand by that. So this is where it's really key to remember that your journey is going to be specific to you. Your chart is specific to you, and it can give great insight into why things are the way they are and who we are as a person. Okay, we're a soul incarnated in this lifetime. We've got a purpose, we've got that guiding north, but understanding and unlocking all of that magic around our soul's blueprint, it's all lying here. And I will be coming on to a special offer, by the way, for September that I've got on astrology readings. I'll come on to that at the end of the video. So sorry about that, I digress, but it's important to remember that with the house system, okay, that it's very unique to our natal charts. What I've done here is I've put those same lines on I've just shown you, but of course it's relating to this chart, looks a bit different because the house system is different. So the sun, okay, at the moment is in the 3rd house for the UK, the house of expression and communication, also travel. But here, because Mercury is alongside, and Mercury is in retrograde, as I demonstrated, trying to blend those words together, not very well, but yes, Mercury is in retrograde. So this is about being mindful with our communication and expression. And this is happening in the house of expression. So there may be a bit of a restricted feel to it, but not so much, I would say. I'm not feeling that there is so much. We just need to be mindful of it. I feel it's more about having a truth talk with ourselves. And because the sun is there in Mercury, this is about the truth talk from the soul to the mind, because it all comes from our intuition. We've got that guiding light within us, our intuition. And our soul knows what needs to be cleaned up. Even if we don't want to accept it, we know what needs to be cleaned up. We know what needs to be put into order in our life. And Mercury, yes, we need to communicate with ourselves truthfully with regards to this retrograde, going within, understanding, because Mercury is in Virgo as well. It's all relating to cleaning house, if you like, in that way. So that's where the moon, that's where the sun is. See, Mercury retrograde. Oh, that's where the sun is. I'm coming on to the moon. I'm ahead of myself. So the moon is over here in the 10th house in Taurus, as we were saying. So motivated by our worth and values. And that's the house of inner authority. It's also the house of work. So it could apply to situations in work particularly. But this is very much about our inner authority, because we've also got Aries energy going on here with the North Node and Chiron being in Aries. So, you know, very much empowerment going on. So that's where the moon is. Okay, so emotions and feelings, motivations when it comes to our inner authority. and how that can work in harmony with our soul when we have that truth talk to ourselves, because we're understanding what does need to be cleaned up, and we can feel that, the moon, we can feel it. Okay, it's grounded energy, but it still needs to be truthful. Okay, but it allows us to manifest that reality that we're wanting for our lives, and to be truthful about what that is. And to do that, we need to clean things up, and we need to detach from what's not serving us. So that's why it's a truth talk, because we might not want to hear it, but our soul knows the truth. Okay, right, then we have, I'll come to the square first. So, you know, North Node is also in the house of inner authority and work. And that square is going across to Pluto in the 6th house. So, of course, challenges when it comes to empowerment of ourselves in our purpose and in our work, and how our transformation of our daily routines and schedules might be affecting that. So perhaps we've been used to a certain daily schedule and routine, and that's got to change, because we've realized through that truth talk that something needs to be cleaned up here, and we need to make a change. But detaching from that pattern of what you've always done every day could be hard and challenging. That's why the square energy is there. But ultimately, it's leading you, it's leading us to our true north, our purpose, our North Node. And the other square, of course, going down to the South Node. So that's in the 4th house of foundations. So it's very much about, you know, there's challenges in terms of where we're heading, but there's challenges in terms of where we've come from, that karmic stuff. We want to lay a foundation that's stable for us. And we might have realized through all of this that the foundation we thought we had within ourselves that was stable was actually not. And we need to rebuild. We need to lay a new foundation, because we've understood what lights us up. We've understood what sparks that flame within. So, of course, we want to lay a new foundation, because this is about starting fresh, building on that experience of the past. But this is a new start, a new direction. And, you know, detaching from that karmic stuff, cleansing that karma from this life, past lives, whatever it might be, and being nurtured through that. But it's all happening in the house of the foundations, challenging that transformative energy. And let's not forget Pluto, scorpionic energy. That is very much the tower in tarot. And it's feared by some because it's the destruction of old, but it's for our highest good, because it's allowing for the rebuilding of the new. Okay, and ultimately it's going to lead us in the direction of our true north, and empowerment in doing that, sovereignty in doing that, because of the fact that the North Node is in the 10th house with Chiron. It's all related to our healing journey. That's why it can feel challenging, because we're having to heal through this as well, and recognize that we are sovereign, because maybe we've not always felt sovereign. Okay, so this is, again, wake up call, truth talk with all of this. Let's get on to the trines then. I know I've mentioned about the moon and the sun, but we've also got, of course, yes, South Node and Ceres in the 4th, trine across to Vesta, and Vesta with that trine across to Saturn. Vesta's in the 12th house, Saturn's in the 8th house, and we know Ceres and the South Node is in the 4th house. So in terms of our foundations, when we understand what sparks that flame within, which could be hidden, could be deep-rooted, subconscious, could be very spiritual, you know, in terms of its connection, because it's in the 12th house, that relates to our power. That gives us power. Saturn is in the 8th house of power. That is giving us power to learn those lessons that Saturn is calling for. Okay, and then we've got Uranus up there in the 11th house, along with Jupiter, both in retrograde. So they're both in the 11th house. This is allowing for that inner growth and expansion through reflection of what needs to change when it comes to our worth and values with regard to connections with others, 11th house. So very key, this is about connections with others and what needs to change in accordance with our worth and values. And ultimately, how that's serving the transformation journey as well, because of the trine from Uranus to Pluto. So when we understand the change that's needed, because we've got that inner growth and expansion within us, within our own worth and values, connections with others need to be established, need to be reassessed, and we understand what needs to transform. And because it's, you know, Pluto's in the 6th house, this could be where we're being of service to others. because that's also the Virgo house traditionally. So as well as daily routines and schedules, you know, perhaps with other people that need to change, it could just simply be, where are we being of service to others that needs to change? Where is that expansion needed within me, so I understand fully what I can give to others? Again, remember Venus. What am I investing in? Is that making me happy? Is that connection making me happy? Is that connection needing to change because maybe I've been investing too much and I need to just, you know, put up some boundaries and detach a little bit, and perhaps invest in this other connection because that's showing me life, that's showing me joy, that's making my heart happy. And it's understanding all of that, but it's certainly for the UK's chart relating to connections with others. And again, your chart, it could show up in a different house, and that's going to give you an insight into your specific situation. Okay, and that's what's fascinating about all of this with astrology. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing. But ultimately, this Jupiter retrograde is all about the introspection of the retrograde, going within, but with that massive expansive energy of Jupiter. So we want to hold on to the hope that Jupiter brings, of course, but remember, Jupiter can expand negative and positive. So if we're going within, Jupiter is going to expand the negative aspects and the positive aspects that we need to look at when it comes to our inner growth and expansion. And if it relates to our worth and values, and maybe we've not had that much of a great regard for ourselves in terms of self-worth, maybe we're learning that, but maybe it's difficult. And that's where the challenging energy can come in. Or maybe we're establishing through everything else, you know, that we're becoming more sovereign, we're understanding our worth more, we understand where we're investing in things that have been wasting our time and where we want to invest because we're getting that reciprocal energy with people, places, things. And that's allowing us to shift, and then we can expand within ourselves. Our worth and values are growing, expanding. And of course, then it's propelling us forward even more on our journey. So it's all part of the healing journey. It's all part of this deep transformation that we're being called to make. Okay. But there is that sort of, you know, with the squares going on there, yes, it can be challenging to seek that true north when we're doing this transformation. So it's about longevity. This is about a process, and it's a journey at the end of the day. And there's been a lot of karmic stuff, a lot of karmic debris floating around that we're having to kind of, you know, almost shelter from, but at the same time, we've got to accept it. We've got to understand why it's coming up in order to then transform through it all, release what we need to do, and learn the lessons of Saturn, Pluto, Uranus, etc. So there you go. That's your astrology report for Jupiter retrograde, okay? And a little bit of Venus at the beginning. So let's pull some cards and just see what we've got. So Wisdom of the Oracle, first of all. We'll see what we have, okay, for the collective. What does the collective need to know for the start of this Jupiter retrograde? And I did see the regeneration card. That's certainly all about the deep transformation. It's death and rebirth. Okay. Jupiter retrograde for the collective, please. They need to know. Thank you. Imagine. Interesting. And that one, Yang in reverse. Okay, let's get another one. Yang is the masculine energy. Okay, we've got masculine and feminine energy within us, regardless of gender or how we identify. Chop wood, right? Okay, and the hidden energy, come to the edge in reverse. Yeah, so there is hesitancy to actually come to the edge in order to take that leap of faith. If you think of the Fool card in tarot, it's very much about taking a leap of faith into something, into the new, into the unknown in some respects. You know, because of needing to move on, but having some hesitancy because it's in reverse. Okay, so there is a need to understand and to let things go that have maybe not been serving us. Underneath that, we've got chaos and conflict in reverse. So perhaps the resistance to take a leap of faith is because of avoidance of any chaos or conflict that might bring up with other people, situations, or within ourselves. Underneath that, this came out the other day, TikTok in reverse. That makes me think of Saturn because Saturn rules time as well, and perhaps feeling some pressure to make changes. And it's not about that. It's taking things a step at a time, but it's understanding why things are coming up to be accepted, acknowledged, processed, transmuted, released, you know, in whatever way it is. But certainly there is this kind of resistance to come to the edge and maybe see things for what they are. This is why the truth talk's important. But when we have imagine yourself in a situation that's more aligned for you. Imagine that dream scenario. What is it that you want to manifest in your life? What makes you happy? What makes your heart happy? What fills you with joy? And recognizing that that reality is attainable. But there is, there's a need to believe in that and to surrender. But this is having the imagination to manifest what it is that you truly desire. It's like blue sky thinking, blue sky casting, that sort of thing. But with yang in reverse, there may be that need to understand the masculine elements within. That's about taking action and having the courage to do so. We need the balance of the two. But because we have chopped wood, this is about actually making the effort, to take the steps to make changes. And that takes the masculine energy, because that's taking action. Okay, so there's a need to maybe step into that. There's a protective sense to that as well, just because of how the hands are cupping this in the reverse position. That's just what I feel intuitively. So there's almost that divine protection around, but there is a need to understand that effort is required, and that's going to take that masculine drive. So imagining it, that's more of the feminine side, I suppose, creating what it is that you want to manifest for your reality. But then effort needs to be applied after. Let's see what the Gilded Tarot Royale has. Could be pain here regarding an emperor, a divine masculine mind. That could also be a reason for holding back. Or maybe just that kind of desire to be in control, because the emperor is very much in control, does take action, is a go-getter. And maybe that's proved painful in the past, which is why there's resistance this time. Let's see what we have, please, for the collective. Jupiter retrograde, start of Jupiter retrograde. Yeah, that one did want to come out. Okay, it wanted to come out before. The World in reverse. Okay, this is cyclical. Cycles need to close out. This is part of the transformation journey that we're on. Oh, yeah. Eight of Swords and the Lovers in reverse. Okay, so I don't feel necessarily it relates to a specific loving connection or a soulmate connection in that way. Lovers can also represent a choice. So this is about, my phone notification just went off then. It's very interesting. And Four of Cups in reverse on the bottom. Underneath that, Queen of Cups. So that's about being in control of one's emotions, leading with the heart. But Four of Cups in reverse is kind of saying to me, do I really want that? Or don't I? Think of the investments that I was mentioning with Venus. And, the divine wants to kind of, hand a cup of emotional fulfillment. Could be an offer from somebody of emotional fulfillment and happiness. And this person's just sat there with their back to the tree. Do I really want it? Because 3 cups have already spilt, they're empty. So do I really want to risk that? So there's a bit of nonchalance to that in reverse. But when we can lead with our heart, we understand what we do want. And that's where the choice may be, because this is in reverse, Lovers in reverse. And it's been causing a bit of stress and anxiety, but this is all an illusion, because she can free herself from that at any point. It's like a metaphorical blindfold, if you like. And the World, yeah, it's about a cycle. So the only one in the upright is Eight of Swords. So stress and anxiety is kind of in the middle here of a choice and a cycle that needs to end. But understanding in the hidden energy, there's Cups energy, and that's the heart energy. So needing to go within, absolutely, and understand what it is that the heart is telling you, and that will help make the choice. Could be to do with an investment in something that's not making you happy or is making you happy. But a cycle needs to close out. This is about, the World, something coming to an end. It's the last card of the major arcana before we get the Fool card, which is what I was attributing that to, that kind of energy. So it's about a cycle needs to end before a new one can begin, but making a choice about that. It's part of this retrograde season. We're having to make choices because we're having to go within and reflect on all of these things. So I hope that's helpful in some way. Now, before I finally leave you to it, I do have some special offers to let you know. So we're now in September, can't believe it. It's like, whoa, we're already in September. So in relation to September, I have some special offerings for myself in terms of my Goddess of Neptune services. I'm also part of Lifting Consciousness Coach on Instagram. So I'm part of that kind of collective where I tend to put my tarot readings and stuff up there. But I do provide tarot readings, I provide oracle readings, and of course I provide astrology readings. So if you're interested in having your natal chart read and interpreted by myself, I am more than happy to be offering 30% off those readings. So I will put all the details in the description box below, but essentially this would be for a live astrology reading over Zoom or a pre-recorded one if that's easier for yourself, but it would be a video reading, and you would also get a Goddess of Neptune astrology natal chart report as well. So it's not only the report, it's the live reading as well, where I can take you through the chart and explain, like I do with these readings, but going into depth into your situation. Okay, and as a bonus, I can also look at the current transits of that time, because that's going to give an insight into what's going on. So that is something that I'm offering out, limited number of spaces for that. Okay, if you're interested in getting a natal chart report, but you don't really want a reading, you just want the report, I'm also providing an offer on that as well. Again, I'll pop the details below. And if you're interested, just let me know, okay? And I'm being called to do a reading, this is astrology related, on Saturn, Uranus and Pluto, as well as Chiron, because there is the healing journey to take account of. But Saturn, with the lessons, Pluto, the deep transformation, and Uranus, the change. So it will be a personalized horoscope reading for you on that, if that's something that resonates for you. I'm being particularly called from Spirit to do that, okay? So there'll be some of you in the collective that are wanting that. It's going to help you on your journey, okay? I'm also offering my moon scopes out. So this is a personalized horoscope for either the new moon or the full moon. We've got a new moon coming up in a couple of weeks, okay? I say in a couple of weeks. Is it next week? It's probably next week, yes, because the way the time is going, it's on the 15th of September for those of us in the UK. Okay, so that's also something that I'd be providing. And then in terms of tarot, I do my tarot readings, and there will be details on that. But as a special, because of Venus going direct, I will be offering out a mini Venus reading, okay, for 1111. So that's the alignment number that I like to use for my readings sometimes, mini reading, okay. And this will be in terms of, Venus, what I've mentioned about where you're investing in things, what might need to change, etc. That could give you insight if you need it. But also, if you're connected to somebody and it's more about the Venus energy in terms of a love connection, soulmate connection, I'm also going to be offering a you and them reading, okay? So that will be something else that will look at your energy and the person you're dealing with and the connecting energy. So that's something for Venus, okay? The Venus energy. And I think that's where I'm up to with things, but limited number of spaces, of course, and certainly for the live readings, that would be based on availability, and we would need to arrange that in terms of when they're requested, etc. So I'll pop all the details below. I don't mean to kind of waffle on about that, but just to let you know that those services are available if they will be of interest to you and if they will help you on your journey. Certainly, I'm being called to do those. So I'm hoping that there will be some of you in the collective that will find value from that as well. Okay, so until the next time, I'm sending you love and blessings. I'm sending you, love and blessings for your introspective moments when it comes to the Jupiter retrograde, as well as the other retrogrades that are going on. But just recognize that now there is that inner expansion energy where we can truly grow within when we understand our worth and values. Jupiter retrograde in Taurus. Okay. So, sending you my best, and until the next report, take care of you, and I'll see you soon. Bye, everybody.